iRadical, we build race cars. We race iconic tracks. We set lap records. We build friendships.
3, 4.
We create champions. We make racers.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Welcome everyone to Podium Esports and coverage of the BiS Radical Cup Canada Series. It's the first Wednesday of the new year and we are at the doorstep to Radical HQ at Donington Park. The SR10s are on the track and I know the drivers are anxious to kick off 2024 with a win. This is the Britannia iSports Radical Cup Canada Series and we are about to see who claims to be top dog tonight for round number 3. Podium Esports will be bringing you the live action of not only the BiS Radical Cup Canada Series, but also on alternating Wednesdays, get ready for more Britannia iSports racing with the F1600 series. If you are into either open wheelers or prototypes, BiS and Podium Esports have got you covered with great racing action. I'm Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth tonight is Michael Johnson. We've got Christian Hill behind the scenes working the controls as our producer. Before we get into any of the action on the track, we have to thank our partners who are here with us. Most importantly, Radical Canada. Are you a racer looking to get into one of these thrilling machines for a test, a race weekend, or purchase a car and join the series? Contact Robert Burgess at robert@radicalcanada.ca. Also, M-Zone, Fell Motorsports, and Advanced Sim Racing and Advanced Motorsports. You too want to race with us? Scan the QR code on the screen to join the BiS Discord and come out here and play with everybody on the virtual racetrack. Well, Michael, this is where I bring you in and let you chat about the series schedule. It's our first and only visit overseas and a very different track than round number 2.
Well, this is a fun track for me. I've always had a lot of fun at Donington, but not racing. I've usually done rock and roll concerts here. It was one of the big things we did. But Donington, a lot of history, wonderful track. I've driven a 7.5-ton truck on it, but I really want to drive a race car here one day. Next round 4, my hometown, Austin, is Circuit of the Americas. That's coming up on January 17th. Round 5 at Laguna Seca, my previous favorite track in the United States until COTA came along. And then round 6, Road Atlanta, day after my birthday. That'll be a fun one. Round 7, Watkins Glen on March 6th. And round 8 at Mosport on March 20th.
We are here at Radical HQ, Donington. Let's take a closer look at what makes this place an amazing racing circuit with this awesome Google Earth view. You got to really be careful around this place. It is known as a fast and flowing, sweeping racetrack. Turn 1 provides a great passing opportunity, but I think the biggest danger of Turn 1 is overshooting your apex speed, which can easily spit you out there on exit. Leads into a very fast and flowing turns 2 and 3. Another good passing opportunity goes down into turn number 4, but then really after that, it is a single file racetrack through some very fast sweeping corners, most notably the very last 2 turns, also known as the final chicane, turns 9 and 10. Probably your next best passing opportunity on the racetrack. But Michael, I want to bring you in because you got plenty of experience behind the wheel of a race car. This track, it is fast, it is flowing, and when you have those two combinations, it often leads to easy defenses.
And I think the biggest pointer here, if you realize that the turn called Old Hairpin, that's the one at the bottom of the hill. When you look at it, it's right there under, if you look at the logo there where it says Donington Park, right below that's Old Hairpin. I don't know anyone anywhere who would call that a hairpin. It is insanely fast. If you set the car up right, get a little bit of a slide going through there, you get a little bit of that wheel just sliding along through there, you will nail that corner, come flying up the hill under the bridge, under Starkey's Bridge there, go through Schwantz Curve into McLean's. That is just a whole lot of excitement. Now, defense is huge here. I've driven it plenty of times in the sim, and I find the hardest place to defend is you've got to really come out of Coppice. That's, if you look right down there where it says Google Earth, that corner is called Coppice as you come through there, and it's a good little straightaway right down into that last little chicane. That last chicane, I think we're going to see a lot of passing there. And then again at Redgate, turn 1. Redgate's probably your next big passing zone. I don't see much happening through the sweeper of Hollywood and getting down into Old Hairpin, maybe getting up into McLean's, but that's really going to mess up your whole lap if you try to make those passes into McLean's or Coppice.
Very fast, very long corners. That is what Donington Park is all about. And the action that we are going to see here tonight is the cars are actually on the racetrack right now. They're in a qualifying session. It is 20 minutes for these cars to set down the lap time for what is going to set the grid. Then we have a 15-minute sprint. That is our race number 1. It's pretty cool format here in the Radical series because not only do we have that first 15-minute sprint, But then we just have a real quick breather and we get back into the racing action with race number 2, which I consider the feature, the main, a 30-minute race where you actually have to include the pit stop. So you got to come in and fill up that car with some fuel. So it adds an extra little element. And not only that, but Michael, we also have 2 classes here within the race details.
Indeed, we do. We have the AM class, which if you look closely at any of the cars, you look at those end plates and little markings on the back, and then across that front splitter. If it's red, that's going to be pro. If it's yellow, that's going to be the amateurs. So don't let that fool you, though. Just because someone has an amateur marking on their car doesn't mean they won't be going wheel to wheel, mirror to mirror, door to door with one of the pros. Everybody's out there racing for position, as we've seen many times. I've seen like a 3rd place AM going up against like a 7th or 6th place pro. And they're really going at it, and they don't need to, but because they enjoy the racing so much, you will absolutely see some really fine racing going on, even interclass here.
Well, I see right here in our notes, the drivers will race for every single position how they wish. There is an unofficial overall points table that the competitors can look at. So it doesn't matter if you're in the pro class or the AM class. It's all about finishing as high up as you can. Also, challenging yourself, taking that next step to get even better. And like you were saying, Michael, the fixed setups, the rolling starts, it's all to put everybody on an equal playing field out here. And I guess the best way to describe the fixed setup is that everybody has the same equipment underneath them, and it's just up to each driver to understand what the car can and can't give you. And speaking of the cars, here it is right here, the Radical SR10, a 425 horsepower turbocharged little sports racer, has a 6-speed manual, or I should say sequential transmission from that Hewland box there, only weighs 1,600 pounds. So it literally is a giant go-kart out there with some really cool body work, some aerodynamics out there to really glue the thing down to the racetrack. And if you haven't tried driving one of these cars, I highly urge you to do it. They are a ton of fun. And Michael, I don't know, have you had any actual time in some sports racers like these?
Indeed, I have. I've driven a couple of different Radicals. I have yet to drive the SR10, but from everything I've heard about it, it'll just part your hair. Even if you don't have hair, it will part your hair. It is so quick. Look at that power to weight ratio, 1,600 pounds with 425 horsepower. That's pretty powerful. These cars will just launch, and there's a ton of grip in these things too. You've got downforce with these wings and the dive planes on the front, and wow, it's just every Radical I've ever driven has impressed me thoroughly. Fun cars to drive. I can't say enough good stuff about the Radical. It's just a fantastic platform. And if you're looking to get into that next level of driving, maybe you're doing track days or something like that, get yourself into a Radical. I think you'll be surprised at what a dedicated track car can do for you as a driver.
We also have a points standings currently. We did mention that it is round number 3 here at Donington Park. We have the Pro Championship, the AM Championship, and also the Teams Championship on your screen here. You see Suelio Almeida currently your Pro Championship leader. Andrew Hardman there in 2nd place. Arnaud Genet in 3rd. And then in the AM Championship, Tim Salvatore over here in 1st. Nick Horvath chasing him. Zach Buchanan in that 3rd place, and then the top 3 in the Teams Championship. This is a big one. This is an important one. It's all about the team effort. Race Sim Canada currently leading that. In Trace Britannia iSports only about 14 points back, and Evolve Sim Sport only 18 points back out of that lead. So really that lead battle incredibly close there in the Teams Championship. So, we've got qualifying going on the racetrack right now, and actually we are just about to wrap up qualifying because it was single 20-minute session and everybody has put down their lap time, so we are good for our starting grid here at Donington Park. Starting on pole position will be the number 1 car of Alex Ellis. Next to him on row number 1, here will be Nathan Medina. And then Suelio Almeida will be in the 3rd place position. Arnaud Genet will be in 4th. Timothy Salvatore will start off in 5th. Stefan Jeffrey in 6th. Andrew Hardman in 7th place. Kevin Norris in 8th. Zachary Buchanan in 9th. And Scott Bedard in 10th.
On the next row, we're going to have Diego Zuccarelli and Ozzy Milwain on beside him. Next row, John Benwillid and Joey Haynes. Mike Broomhead and Curtis Jones on the next row. We've got Kenny Reedman along with Kenny Brown. Up into 19th and 20th, Matthew Howard and Sean Duhamel.
We have Hayden Goodridge back here in 21st. Asad Nakatambayev in 22nd. Richard Swindells in 23rd, Graham Lobin in 24th, Micah Dern in 25th, Robert Covey in 26th, Mark Boyd starting 27th, Junyi Chen in 28th, Dave Peterson in 29th, and Clovis Giard in 30th.
And 31st, it's, as we all know and love, Zippy Salmon. So next to him, James Carter, and then Stephen Chen, Phil Amaro, Steven Sonderland, Matthew Mailman, and looks like we're going to finish it out with Robert Burgess.
I see it should be about 37. I know for sure over 35 cars are going to be taking the grid here for round number 3 at Donington Park. We are just currently waiting for the grid timer to come up, and we do have a shortened pace lap here. So we're going to kick things off with a green flag pretty much immediately here on the racetrack. I was taking a look at the weather, and it seems pretty mild out there. 73-degree ambient with 81-degree track temperature.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to get some temperature into these cars, into the tires and brakes early on with such a short pace lap. Right now, coming into Coppice, this would be a good spot to be able to get that good uphill, just jam the brakes, get a lot of heat down in there. But I don't think they're going to be able to do it because all they've got is this straight and then that last little chicane before it's going to go green. I think we're going to see some of the people in the back of the field actually under green when they go through that chicane.
Going through the final chicane right now, getting this great aerial view of one of the better passing opportunities here at Donington. You're going to see that pace car dip off into pit lane on driver's left. It is going to be in the hands of that red, white, and blue number 1 of Alex Ellis, and we already have problems in the back of the field on the front straightaway, but the front half of the field gets away cleanly into turn number 1. It is your pole sitter leading the way. Nathan Medina files into 2nd place, and it looks like we've got side-by-side action back there for 4th, 5th, and 6th place as we come down into turn number 4 for the first time. A good passing opportunity here. You got to make sure you get everything up to temperature on this first lap.
Indeed you do, but you also have to watch for overrunning that not a hairpin. You can lose some time by getting out there, and you can also get a bit of a slowdown, so you got to be careful. Now here we come up into Coppice. Got to just nail that corner. You can't see, and it's kind of a double apex here. You get that timed just right. It looks like Alex Ellis is pulling away from the rest of the field. He's got almost a second. Looks like, yeah, right at a second over Nathan Medina, and Suelio Almeida right there behind him, trying to hold on for dear life to the end of this race.
Fast and frantic. That is what Donington Park is going to be. Only 1 minute and 6 seconds on that very first lap. But your pole sitter, Alex Ellis, does, in fact, lead that first lap. It looks relatively calm here within the top 5, and Alex is really starting to stretch the legs over that red and black car of Nathan Medina. I'd want to keep my eye on that 2nd place. I feel like Suelio Almeida, that's the 3rd place car in that black and red Texaco livery. He has also got Stefan Jeffrey right behind him, Kevin Norris in the 774. But I feel like this is where really the momentum is coming, putting the pressure on that 2nd place.
Yeah, and Suelio we know is a kind of paced kind of driver. He's not going to try to really put it all out there on that first lap. He comes alive about 4 laps, 5 laps into it and starts creeping up on you, and the next thing you know, he's pulling away because he got past you in some magical fashion that only Suelio knows how to do.
Lap number 2 complete already. Remember, this is just a very short 15-minute sprint race. So if you have any aggression left over from qualifying, this is where you really want to show it, because you just don't have the time to make up any lost track position as we ride on board the third place car. Suelio Almeida feeding it through turns 4, 5, and 6 right here. This is through, I believe, turn number 7 leading up into turn number 8. Michael, you were talking about this corner. It is so tricky, but you got to nail it on the exit because it does lead into a passing opportunity.
Yeah, we're going to have a good passing opportunity right here, but a little bit of grass, I think, looked like, but he's got a nice little draft. Can he fit up the inside? Nope, he's going to back out. See, Suelio racing smart here. He didn't make an unwise move. He knows he's got the measure of Nathan in front of him. So Medina having to really pace himself and make sure he can hold on to good speed coming out of these corners. Suelio is going to take advantage of it every opportunity he has. Now watch Suelio, as we were looking there, really light movements on that steering wheel. He's not putting in a lot of steering angle, so he's not overheating those front tires. But look behind him. Stefan Jeffrey really wants to be a part of this party too. And Kevin Norris also trying to get a little bit of party time here. So we've got a really good battle. We've got, I would say, a 4-way battle for second place coming into the last little bit of this racetrack.
And it was Kevin Norris and Andrew Hardman that almost got into each other behind Suelio Almeida. Here comes Suelio in that black and red car. He is fully up alongside going into turn number 9 and 10. He will claim that second place position. I was going to say, when he got checked up there just the lap before, Stefan Jeffrey, who now goes on the attack, he's in that blue car on the outside. He's going to try to make the long way around work in turn number 1. That oftentimes doesn't succeed, so he's going to have to slip back into the racing line, tuck back in behind now the third place car of Nathan Medina, while Suelio sets off, tries to chase down Alex Ellis, who has, I'm checking, a 3-second lead already.
Yeah, Alex is just checked out. He's going to try to stick out there as much as he can. I think Almeida might have a different plan for him. Almeida, during practice, was a very close first and second. These guys were back and forth, maybe not even a tenth, probably closer to a couple of hundredths of a second. So this was really big. These guys were really going back and forth at it. Now, I think the plan here for Almeida, for Medina, is to use Almeida to help catch up to Ellis. Alex Ellis does not want that to happen, but I think Suelio was looking at what his options were, realized that Ellis was checking out, and he was like, I got to get around here. He made that a little look out there. Can I make it? Can I make it? Next lap through, makes the pass, and now he is on a hunt. He's got it down. He's made up about 2.5 tenths, about a quarter second over that lap on Ellis. So let's see if he's able to hold on to that. I'm not sure this is something he can overcome, but if anybody can do it, I think Suelio's the one.
Well, now it is Stefan Jeffrey applying the pressure to that red car of Nathan Medina for the third place. And something else that we are already encountering, I didn't expect this, but you see Almeida already flashing the lights. We've got lapped traffic that the cars are going to have to deal with. I thought for sure in the 30-minute main coming up later, we're going to have to deal with it, but didn't think we'd see it in the 20-minute sprint, and here we go. Nathan Medina, all sorts of squirrely coming off of turn number 10. That's going to open the door for Stefan Jeffrey, but he's really boxed in from a lapped car on the racing line. Also include Kevin Norris in this battle, and another big wiggle from Medina. That's going to allow Jeffrey through, but watch out for Kevin Norris in that 774. He smells blood in the water, and just like everybody else, there is some hungry sharks looking for that position.
Yeah, Medina was having a little bit of trouble there. Just unlucky positioning. The lap cars from that incident on the opening lap, actually right at green flag, that put some people out kind of out of sequence. Now they've caught up to them very, very quickly. And unfortunately, Medina just found himself in the wrong position, trying to put the power down, having to lift out a little bit to not run into that lap traffic. Because remember, just because they're lap traffic doesn't mean they don't have a race going on. You have to respect their race as much as they respect yours. Being predictable, staying on line, and being where the approaching driver knows where you're going to be, that's important. Now we've got a bunch of cars in the pit right now, and those guys are going to be coming out soon. So there's always a race going on, and you get somebody with the quality of Medina, somebody who knows how to drive. He just got into an unlucky position, and I think he's going to be fighting back here pretty soon.
The other battle that I want to check on real fast is what is the battle for the 8th place position with the number 91 car, Timothy Salvatore. Zach Buchanan actually just got around him earlier this lap, so move Zach up to P number 7, and now it is Ozzie Milwayne in that second turquoise-colored car. That's the number 14. He's starting to put the pressure on that burgundy color of Timothy Salvatore as we approach turn number 9. So this is another battle a little bit further back in the pack, albeit still in the top 10. This racing, and look at this, Michael. Actually, this has all converged into what I'm going to call a super battle, from all the way up Caven Norris, P3, all the way down to Ozzie Milwayne in P9. We got 7 cars lined up in this one.
This is truly a super battle. When I look through the names here, these are all people I've raced with and probably lost to. I know I've raced Ozzie. Ozzie has beat me every time he and I have come up in the same area in sim racing. I've never been able to get quite around him. But meanwhile, Stefan Jeffrey is trying to close that up. Looks like Zach Buchanan trying to also get in there really close, but you've got to wait for that right moment. Oh, but speaking of right moments, it looks like, I believe Ozzie Milwayne just got around Timothy Salvatore.
That's one of the cars a little bit further in the back. That's the second turquoise car that you're looking at, the number 14, as it really stacks up behind Nathan Medina. Also Andrew Hardman involved in that stack up. Stefan Jeffrey now trying to look too wide to the outside here, see if he can get around Andrew Hardman, who is in the 5th place position. He has snuck around Stefan Jeffrey in the middle of that pack at some point, so now he sets his sights for Nathan Medina. And I don't want to pick on Nathan at all, because I think that he's running a fantastic race in the 4th place position. He has lost 2 spots. His qualifying pace seems to be a little bit better than what his race pace is, and that can be to a few factors. Sometimes qualifying, you can just set down that heater lap where it's just perfect. But the other big one that I think of, Michael, is that racecraft, that anxiety factor, that when you have a big train in the mirror, it is so easy to miscalculate, miss your braking marker, miss your apex, and just like that, they're even more on you.
I know when I'm running along and I see the headlights
of... there goes a big mistake right there from Nathan Medina. Just what I was talking about. Sorry to interrupt you, but that really stacks it up behind him. You see him go through the grass. There's Stefan Jeffrey, who is stopped on the front straightaway. And here, Nathan Medina still hangs on to the 5th place position somehow.
Wow, great job from Nathan Medina. That's tough to stay up there, especially now that Ozzie Milwayne is trying to close this down. Ozzie has gotten around Zach Buchanan. That was another really tight one, but closing it in tight on Nathan Medina. Nathan is just having a tough time, and like I was saying, when you get somebody, you see their headlights, somebody like, say, I don't know, Joey Atterbury shows up in your mirror, you kind of get a little bit, oh my God, it's Joey again. How did he get here so quick? And well, it creates a little bit of anxiety, and that's the racecraft that you're talking about.
Nathan Medina still getting taken advantage of out here is Ozzie Milwayne that just snuck around him. So now it is Zach Buchanan already with a tremendous exit out of turn number 10. Zach is in that second turquoise car. Nathan Medina is in that red and black car with an excellent defense down into turn number 1. But you see Zach already with the flash of the lights back there says, hey, I know I've got more pace. I want to get around. I want to challenge myself up there for a top 5 finish. And look at the laps left. We're under 5 laps to go out there. Just a few minutes on the racetrack left in this first 15-minute sprint race.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're heading up into Redmond. That was a really nice defensive line we saw there from Nathan. He's doing everything he can to hold on to this position, but he's going to get contact. Just came down right on. That was tough. It was a tough call when he went for the corner. I'm sure his spotter was saying, nope, it's clear, but the nose got in there, and fortunately nobody spun around.
It'll definitely have to be one that race control looks at afterwards. I know that Zach Buchanan was on a mission trying to make up those positions. He was flashing the lights earlier in the lap. Watch this second car here, the second turquoise car. He's going to show the nose down to the inside in the next set of corners is where it ends up happening here. Right here, I don't think he quite gets fully alongside to present the car. Then some contact with the number 6 sends Nathan Medina off of the racetrack. But Michael, like you were saying, thankfully it didn't get spun all the way around.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, especially on a shorter race like this with only a couple of laps to go. Decisions are made sometimes a little hastily. Hard to say. I wouldn't want to be making that call. I do not envy whoever's in race control trying to watch what goes on there and make a decision on that one, because I'm sure, without any doubt, I've tried to do that exact same thing at some point.
This is the 91 car of Timothy Salvatore, currently chasing Diego Zuccarelli in that red number 5 car. Also has John Benwalid in the 08 car just behind him. There's another car that I want to draw to our attention. It's actually not in a battle right now, but it's the 007. We're going to be talking about Robert Burgess in between the races here, but he's the man you want to talk to over at Radical Canada. So if you are interested in anything radical out there, not only does Robert Burgess come out here and play on the simulator, play in the virtual world, but he is the guy you want to talk to if you actually want to get in one of these cars. As you see, some of these cars make their way around Robert Burgess, who is currently running 26th on the racetrack, and 26th may seem pretty far back there, but Michael, he's up 10 positions.
Yeah, he's made up a good bit of space there. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of at all, and I'm certain he can drive a race car. It is a little bit different, as you well know. I find that when I get into a car in real life and then I do it on the sim, sure, some things translate. You turn the wheel one way, the car goes that way. You turn the wheel the other way, it goes that way. And it's nice for understanding kind of where the track goes. But being in a real car, there's a different feel all around over the sim. So I wouldn't take someone's performance in the sim and apply that to what they can do in real life. I can guarantee you Robert is a really good driver in real life.
Well, we've got Alex Ellis coming through, and actually, guys, we miscalculated this one by 1 lap just with the timer and whatnot. He was already on the final lap, so checkered flag goes to Alex Ellis. The first race here, the number 1 car, complete domination, winning by over 5 seconds on the racetrack. Suelio Almeida will finish in 2nd place, with Andrew Hardman rounding out your podium here for the first of the 2 races at Radical Cup Canada at Donington Park here tonight. You're seeing Alex do a nice little smoky burnout. It's always wonderful burning the thing down after you collect the first checkered flag. Actually, what I assume to be the first checkered flag of 2024 for Alex Ellis, and we'll get your official results right here on the screen for everybody. It was that number 1 car claiming that top spot. Suelio Almeida in 2nd. Andrew Hardman going to finish in 3rd place. Ozzie Milwane in 4th. Zach Buchanan is going to finish in 5th. Diego Zuccarelli is going to finish in 6th. Timothy Salvatore in 7th. John Benwalid in 8th, Nathan Medina in 9th, and Caven Norris is going to round out your top 10 here.
Yeah, I think we're going to have Matt Howard in 11th, Stefan Jeffrey in 12th, Joey Haynes and Scott Beddard on the next row. Then we've got Micah Dern with Asad Nikadambev, along with Robert Covey, Kenny Reedman, Graham Lubin, and Junyi Chen in P20.
Then in 21st position on the next set of pages back here, we have in 21st, let's see here, Stephen Chen, James Carter, Dave Peterson, Phil Amaro, Kenny Brown back here in 25th place, Richard Swindells in 26th, Robert Burgess in 27th, Michael Broomhead, and Arnaud Genet back in the later half of the field back here. And the rest of the cars, you see a few laps down, had some problems on the racetrack, but what I actually want to talk about, because we didn't get to do it here at the beginning of the show. Now, we were just talking about Robert Burgess. He's the guy over at Radical Cup Canada that's actually offering the championship prize. So, not only is he playing out here in the virtual world, but he can hook you up, and this is what everybody is fighting for. An actual radical experience out here. The thrill of a lifetime, call it. Experience a genuine radical race car courtesy of Robert Burgess at Radical Canada, awarded to both class champions, not only the pro class, but the AM class. That is what makes this BiS Radical Cup Canada series so cool. Michael, you have tons of experience in an actual race car. You can kind of explain to everybody that hasn't been in one what it's like to push that button, start the engine, feel the car underneath you, and then finally drive it out on track for the first time.
I've been doing this for a number of decades, and I can tell you every single time I hit that start button and the engine makes that rumble, that growl, that noise, I actually giggle a little bit, because I'm like, oh, here it goes again, and you just start to feel everything. You're right on edge. Every little bump, every little groove in the pavement, you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen now. And so you put that car into gear, you start to let that clutch out, and then everything engages and you're rolling along, and the excitement just builds and builds and builds. You get those tires warmed up, the brakes warmed up on that outlap, and the next thing you know, you are just going at it 100%, feeling what it's like to push that car through the corner. It's just sheer excitement. I know a lot of people get adrenaline when they do this. Personally, I try to keep the adrenaline out, because adrenaline's great when you're trying to outrun a bear. But tell me if you've seen different. But every time I've been to a racetrack, I have not seen any bears. So I don't need to outrun those. I'm just trying to get the car around the track and that light touch. And honestly, with these radicals, that light touch on the steering wheel and all that information comes through there. You can feel every little bit of what's going on there. And man, they're just a pleasure to drive. It's so exciting when you get out there and you're pushing these cars to the limit.
I think the big thing about driving a real race car versus driving in your sim rig, of course, you get the feeling, right? The vibration from the actual motor, the feeling of stepping on the brakes, using those dual masters, right? But I think the biggest thing that people don't realize is you get all of the smells, right? You smell the race fuel, you smell the brakes, right? You smell the rubber if you are sliding the thing too much, like people underestimate how cool it is to actually get in and drive one of these real race cars. And when you do the open cockpit stuff like these sports prototypes, not only do you have the feels, the smells, but you also have all of that wind going through your helmet. Also, it keeps you nice and cool inside that car. And trust me, folks, from somebody who has driven a lot of different GT cars, I will gladly cut the roof off of most of those cars any day of the week to have some nice airflow. So these open cockpit sports prototypes, awesome cars if you want to go and race one. And I think the best way to describe a Radical, it is a big go-kart, right? You step on the gas, it frickin' hauls the mail, right? You step on the brakes, and those brakes and tires have so much grip, just the stopping power will astound you. Not only that, but the cornering ability, the apex speeds that these cars can carry are just absolutely nuts. So, I know that we're kind of rambling on about this, but this prize right here, courtesy of Robert Burgess, is what everybody on the racetrack tonight is battling for. That's why these championship points between Pro and Am are so worth it. And actually, we've got our 5-minute warm-up coming to a conclusion right now. So we are going to start off with our grid for our main 30-minute feature, and something we haven't talked about yet. We're going to throw a curveball at everybody. Here on the 30-minute grid, the top 10 are inverted. So Kevin Norris, who finished 10th place, he is our pole sitter here for the 30-minute feature. Nathan Medina unfortunately fell back quite a few positions, but now gets that leapfrog, will start on the front row in second. John Benwalid in third. Timothy Salvatore in fourth. Diego Zuccarelli in fifth. Zach Buchanan in sixth. Ozzie Milwane in seventh. Andrew Hardman in 8th, Suelio Almeida in 9th, and Alex Ellis in 10th. We'll roll through the rest of the names on the screen, but nothing has changed between 11th place and the final position in that finishing order from race number 1. It is only the top 10 that have that grid invert. And Michael, maybe you can speak on that. 30-minute race, but you're also putting some of the fastest drivers in the middle of the pack. You got to control that aggression.
You do indeed, and like we were watching so much in that previous race, that P5 was P3. Yeah, I think it was about P3 back to about P9. That was all a really, really tight race. So if you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a cakewalk for Nathan Medina because now he's in P2 again, it's not going to be. He's still got to really have a strong battle against Kevin Norris, and then John Benwillet is going to be right there. I raced John recently and thought, wow, okay, this will be good. I've never raced with him before. He's going to be quick. I can tell you, yeah, he's going to be very quick. So just because that's reversed, don't expect it to be a cakewalk to get through. It's going to be a real fight.
Already out onto the front straightaway. You see the pace car dodge down to pit lane, and we are green flag already. It's actually a fantastic jump from a little bit further in the pack, and look at this, we're 3, even 4 wide going into turn number 1. It is still the pole sitter. It's actually Nathan Medina who has snuck his way out front, got around the 774 of Kevin Norris. Timothy Salvatore now in 3rd place, but look at Alex Ellis. He is already up to the 4th place position as we stream through turn number 4 for the first time.
Yeah, big jumps. You got to watch for that. You got to listen for that car up front. You've got to watch for that car up front to make that jump so you can get going as well. And a couple of people got caught sleeping back there in the lower portion of those top 10.
Look at how stacked up. Oh, we got a big problem. Joey Haynes, Michael Dern. Also, I see Stephen Chen involved in this one. There is a huge incident, I believe, coming through turn 8 on this first lap, and just chaos. A little bit further back in the pack, but actually, look at this. 3 wide, maybe going into turn 9. You gotta squeeze down and make that all work, and another car turned around on the front straightaway. So the first lap of the 30-minute main race, definitely a lot going on here, but up front, look at who just squeezed their way into 2nd place. That is our round 1 winner, I should say our first race winner, Alex Ellis, and he carried tremendous speed through 2, 3, 4, and now he is right on the back of Kevin Norris, the 774 car, who did start this race in the 1st place position. But look at this. Alex Ellis just drives right on by.
Indeed he does it, but we've got, looks like Zach Buchanan. No, John Benwalid. I think John Benwalid got a little bit of trouble back there. I don't know if that was him getting spun or he spun himself, but he's definitely got some issues. There is no wing on the back of that car. So John Benwalid having some trouble. But back to Alex Ellis. Man, what a drive. That was only a lap and a half before he was back into 1st position.
He has brought Ozzie Milwane with him, quite frankly, that number 14 car. That's that turquoise car challenging for what is the second place position as Kevin Norris chases Alex Ellis down turn 2, 3. Down a couple gears into turn number 4, but it really is all about these fast sweeping corners, carrying as much apex speed through the entire corner as you can here at Donington. Yes, you do have to check up for some of these corners. Yes, it does make some passing opportunities, but the name of the game here is keep the speed up around this entire place.
Yeah, meanwhile, Ozzie Milwane doing a nice job. He is right underneath the wing of Kevin Norris, right in front of him there. Closes that up down that straightaway. I think we might see an opportunity opening up here into Redmond Corner. We'll see if there's a defensive line being taken here. Oh, a little bit of flashing of the lights going on back there. That would be Almeida trying to put a little bit of pressure onto Timothy Salvatore. So it's heating up right here, and we're about to see these same players, even though they started in a reverse grid. We're seeing that that opening race kind of playing out again here in the second race.
And remember, folks, this is a longer race. The first race was 15 minutes. This one is 30 minutes. Now, not only did we have that top 10 grid invert to kick it off, but all of the drivers are going to have to make their way down pit road eventually to put some more gas in the car. So the fuel level cannot make it the full 30 minutes. You have to come in and do that pit stop, and if you don't practice pit entry, it can definitely catch you off guard, albeit quite simple at Donington. I think the bigger kind of danger area with pit road here is if you blend back out into traffic.
Yeah, because notice here, you see Ozzie Milwane, who did finally get around Kevin Norris. Right there, you're using some of that pit lane. You're getting your car about 99.999% over into there before you get an off-track warning, and they really want to maximize going into Redmond Corner, so they're using a ton of that over there. So the cars coming out really have to pay attention to who's coming up and who's going to be using it, as well as the cars currently on track, so they don't end up rear-ending someone going into there, because coming out of the pit, you are at a much, much slower pace than the cars coming up on you.
I'm going to keep an eye on this 774 right here. He's done a really good job to keep the pace, but now he's got one of the fastest drivers right behind him in that number 10. That's Suelio Almeida. Remember, he is your pro championship leader coming into this round, although Alex Ellis has really dominated. Here comes Suelio presenting the car to drivers right. Very even, going down on the brakes. He is going to clear Kevin Norris, take away that third place position, so move that Texaco themed Radical SR10 onto the final spot of the podium positions. And I was curious if we were going to see Ozzie Milwane able to chase down Alex Ellis, because he's really been one of the faster cars out front, and he was able to get clear in good air. But unfortunately, Alex Ellis, I just think, is on another level. He clicks with Donington Park, whether that's the practice that he put in, or maybe, Michael, I'm sure that you have courses that you just go to and they just seem to work for you.
Oh, absolutely. There's some tracks that, you know, I get there and nothing seems to work right, and I want to make changes to the car, and you have to work with what you got. Like the one thing here is this is also a fixed setup. So you can't make any changes to the car. You have to work with what you got. Meanwhile, looks like Almeida is not content for that third spot on the podium. He moves up, going through Redmond Corner on Ozzie Milwane, takes P2. This fixed setup is working beautifully for him. He seems to like the way it is. Meanwhile, Ozzie is not going to have any of that. He wants to fight back, and he is trying to close this up as best he can. But once again, Almeida is putting on a show, trying to pull away, closing down that 2.5 second gap to Alex Ellis.
Almeida really trying to go out there and keep as many points as possible. Alex Ellis, I'm looking, he's 5th place in the Pro Drivers Championship right now, so He is collecting maximum points between winning that first sprint race. Oh, there goes. I believe that was Ozzy.
That was Ozzy, yeah.
Jumping over the curbs. He is going to lose several positions out on track. You see him finally slotting back in behind Zach Buchanan in that number 40. I believe that is Diego Zuccarelli in that all red number 5 now. That's the caboose on the train.
Indeed, it is. He's trying to give us a show like we had last time in that earlier race, that shorter race. But man, missing that corner, that's a real bummer for Ozzy. Ozzy had done a great job bringing the car up to P2, still holding on to P3 for a while, but missing that one corner really messed up his race. And if you notice, he is behind a car in front. Look at those end plates. So we've got the yellow little markers there that indicates pro, but those are some red end plates and red markers on the 2 cars in front of him. Those are AM drivers. Like I said at the opening of this race, don't put anything aside for somebody just because they're an AM driver. Salvatore is really cooking right now and trying to get up there and be close up on Norris as quick as he can, and he's trying to drag Buchanan along with him.
Another battle that rages on right now. P9, Nathan Medina currently has Stefan Jeffrey right behind him. That is the 249 car applying the pressure to this red and black number 6 as we stream through turn number 4. Now, Stefan Jeffrey has moved up 2 positions from where he started. He did not get the benefit of any sort of that reverse grid. And Nathan Medina has just got to feel like, when is it going to stop raining on the racetrack out here? Because when it rains, it pours out there. In the first race, he really got taken advantage of. And here he is back in the 9th place position. Still got some pressure in the mirror. And that's Stefan Jeffrey. He had quite a good race number 1, but then fell back at some point.
Yeah, once again, it looks like Medina, he does really well. He ends up in a good qualifying position, fell back. He qualified P2 because of the reverse grid, but he was P2 legitimately on pace in that first race. It's just it came down to driving the race and just not having the luck that he should have here. So he's having a really hard time. Stefan Jeffrey is really putting it to him right here. I expect we may see an attempted pass right as they go under Sharkey Bridge here and trying to get up into this last little bit. It'll probably happen at that last chicane. I think he's going to be able to get the draft going down there.
It is such a tough place to get passes done here at Donington. You really have to set them up perfectly, see what kind of run Stefan can get out of turn number 8. Not quite close enough to make a move down here into turn number 9 unless he really sends it in there. Gonna have to see about the exit. Coming out at 10, and you see Nathan Medina just all sorts of wiggly, doesn't really have the stability that he wants out of the car. That's going to open the door. Jeffrey just not quite close enough. And actually, that's Zach Buchanan right off the track directly in front of us. So he rejoins right in front of Nathan Medina. That's going to allow Nathan a new target to set his sights on. And another battle that I was noticing, Saad Nakatambayev has actually gotten around Arnaud Genet back here for what is the 11th place position. Something cool about Assad, this driver right here, not many of you know, but he is a go-kart kid. He competes out here in the Pacific Northwest, younger than most on the service here, Michael.
Indeed he is. He's an amazing driver, given how little, I would say little experience, but honestly, go-karting, I think there is something about go-karting that gives you an accelerator in your learning process, because the first time I got behind the wheel of a go-kart, oh, that was a car off to the side up there. Andrew Hardman, oh, tough for him. Andrew's such a good racer, just having a rough day today. But going back to the go-kart, it's like an accelerator to your learning process. I got into a go-kart on my 8th birthday, and everything just went crazy from there. And I had, kind of maybe slightly illegally driven on the street, holding the steering wheel, working the pedals as best I could, trying to drive a real car. But the go-kart wow, that accelerated my learning. And I'm sure you've had similar experiences in a go-kart where you just feel like I learned so much because there was so much great feedback from the car.
And hey, because I'm a Northwest native, shout out to Performance right there on the side of Assad's car out here at Pacific Raceways, Seattle International Raceway, also what it's known as. But shout out to Don Kitch, also part of Team Seattle. Oh, and Arno just gets in too deep into turn number 9 and 10. Has to take the agricultural route, and now he spins it around. Was a little bit greedy on that throttle pedal, spun up those rear tires, and unfortunately Arno going to lose a ton of track position. He was battling for what was the 10th place. Now he slips back in 16th, all the way back there. So just a tough break for Arno. Another battle going on the racetrack that we haven't said the name yet, the number 87 of Curtis James back here. And it's not quite that close because I'm noticing now that Andrew Hartman is just now starting to sneak away from this number 87 of Curtis James. So he did have a little bit of a battle going on, but has fizzled out on the racetrack. I do see that Arnaud Genet has gotten himself back into the middle of one. I think he's challenging Zhengyu Chen in the 413 for what is the 14th place position. Also Dave Peterson in the number 35. That's the blue and white car, kind of sitting in the catbird seat watching it all.
Yeah, he's kind of waiting for something to happen. He sees a lot of aggression going on. Good pass around the outside there. That was beautifully executed. But look at that, talking about the catbird seat, ready to make that jump, trying to get the nose in there. Can he get it as they go up into Redmond? All right, nope, was that Redmond? I think that was Redmond. Yeah, turn 1. Putting the power down, that's some crazy power. Once again, remember, that's 425 horsepower that you're putting through only a 1,600 pound car. Power to weight ratio is pretty strong here.
Well, we do have this battle going on the racetrack. We are coming up to about halfway through right now. I want to bring in one of our guests who was out on the racetrack. Mike Broomhead, welcome to the booth.
Oh, thanks for having me. Shame I'm here in a way, but glad to be here as well.
Well, this specific racetrack, Donington, I've been learning is now Radical HQ out there. How cool is that to be kind of racing at Radical's doorstep with these cars?
Yeah, it's really good. We had a chat with a representative from Radical themselves in the UK, and we were discussing locations to come during this championship, and Donington was number one. Obviously, they have the shop in Peterborough, UK, a different part of the country there, but having the head office now in Donington, we thought we'd represent it.
So, you were out there on the racetrack, Mike. I got to ask you for some insider knowledge. Since we are right about halfway, what do you think the pit stop strategy is going to be? Is it going to happen right now, or are we going to see some of these drivers really stretch it all the way out?
I think everybody's looking for an advantage. So, wherever they can find it, I think there's a lot of people out there that may change things up a little bit. We don't have too many pit spots in this at this track, and we have a lot of cars, so really people are sharing. So it might be beneficial to come in when nobody else is, so you can get a clean entry, clean exit. Maybe that's going to be a little bit better for some of the drivers, but I always like to go as fast as far into the race as possible. You don't need as much fuel that way, so hopefully it makes the stop shorter. But at the end of the day, you try to find what you can and kind of go with it.
So, when you come out here, you do the pit stops. I do have to ask you, are the drivers going to be caught out by the different fuel levels? It is a fixed setup, so you can't change anything there. You think it's going to catch anybody out?
I think it should be fairly okay. The benefit is cooling the tires down. No, I don't think anybody should be taking tires. So cooling the tires down, just put a little bit more fuel in it, get back into it, and then just, the tires will come alive a little bit more towards the end. So, I think it will be fairly similar. I don't think it's going to be too different, but we'll see very shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, Mike, thank you so much for the participation out here, and thank you so much for what you do with this Radical series and all of the BiS series. And I guess I do have one more final question for you, is that I know that we can't really pick our favorites on who's going to win the championship, but is there maybe a driver or a couple drivers out there that have caught your eye on how much they've been improving or putting in practice time, and you're really seeing that development out on the track?
Yeah, actually, I want to take the attention to the AM class actually, because Salvatore and Zuccarelli are, they're always practicing. They race in other leagues as well. They're really putting a lot of time into this SR10, and it really shows right now. With the difficult nature of this track and how hectic everything is, and they're at the top of that. But of course, you've got the pros as well. Milwayne's up there with the fast guys right now, and I think they're closing the gap a little bit. So, it could go anywhere with any of the championships, and we're only not even halfway through yet. That's the next round, so a long way to go still.
Awesome. Well, that was Mike Broomhead, unfortunately out of the race a little bit early, but he is one of the main organizers here at BiS, and so happy to see all of the action that they are bringing here to Podium Esports as this battle continues to rage on. And Michael, I want to bring you back in here. It seems that we have hit lapped traffic once again.
Yeah, there was just a flood of traffic coming out of their pit stops. Decided to pit earlier and get into a better position. Unfortunately, caught themselves up into this lead pack. This lead pack right now, we've got Ozzy Milwayne running this train back to Zach Buchanan, and you might even be able to include Stefan Jeffrey in that. He's still a couple of seconds off of Zach Buchanan, but that little train again, Ozzy Milwayne trying to hold on to that position. He's in P3 right now, but looks like our leader Alex Ellis has dropped into the pits, and yeah, we've got everybody making that drop. I'm sure they are all on a thimbleful of fuel as we just watch the craziness that Mike Broomhead was talking about with all these cars having to share pits. So yeah, a lot of activity there. It looks like somebody taking tires back there in the back.
I think I see Stefan Jeffrey and Suelio Almeida were the two cars to stay out on the racetrack, so they were able to stretch it another lap. But it looks like lap 19, the end of lap 18, the start of lap 19, that is where most of these front runners pitted. Now, there is a benefit, undercut, overcut. I think, though, where the big benefit is feeding back out onto a clean piece of the racetrack. We had just seen them go all in that lapped traffic, and that can really affect your in and out lap time. So if you feed yourself back out onto the racetrack and there is a ton of slow traffic around you, that can actually end up costing you several positions once the pit stop cycle ends. We'll just have to keep an eye on Suelio Almeida, who is leaving his pit box right now. See where he blends back out onto the racetrack as I see Alex Ellis crossing start-finish line. Looks like Alex will hold on to that lead, albeit just barely, over Suelio here in the number 10 car. He had about a 2.5 second gap when he entered that pit stop cycle, and Michael, he shaved it down a full second, only about 1.6 separating the top two.
Yeah, smart move from Suelio Almeida there, deciding to run that extra lap. Now, that's something Suelio's really good at. He is a fuel sipper. He does not use a lot of fuel when he's out there in these race cars. We consistently see him making an extra lap, sometimes 2 or 3 laps over the other cars. And remember, they all have the same amount of fuel. He's just got a magic right foot that allows him to just ease in that throttle just right, so he's not using quite the same fuel that everyone else is using. And that has really done well for him, because now he is only about 1.7 seconds off of Ellis. He has a chance to close this up, and he is looking at that. I am sure he is licking his chops right now.
Well, I can tell you that Alex Ellis, his outlap time was a 1:21.4. Almeida, his outlap was a 1:20.8. So yes, Suelio did pick up time on Alex Ellis within that pit stop cycle. The other big one that I've noticed, not only in the pit stop cycle, and I can't call him our biggest mover because there is one other, Zippy, all the way up to P13 in that number 659 car, currently chasing down Dave Peterson in what is that blue and white number 35 heading into turn number 1. So Zippy might not have started this race near the front, but it looks like he is charging his way up towards the top 10 positions, and a couple of other names. I want to say him because he is the biggest mover on the racetrack right now. Caden Goodridge right behind Zippy as Zippy's looking for a pass right here. Let's keep on board, see if he's able to sneak his way around. Dave Peterson's going to have to squeeze his way up the inside. Don't know if there is contact, but they both go flying off the racetrack. Neither one of them was going to make the corner, and that is actually going to promote Caden Goodridge up 2 more positions. So that number 55, Michael, check this. 23 positions gained.
Wow, that is quite a feat, making that many positions in one race. Now, some of it is from a bit of carnage that happened, sure, but a lot of that is honest to goodness, getting up side by side, going into a corner, getting around somebody's. Caden Goodridge putting on a beautiful show, getting up into almost the top 10. He's still got to catch Joey Haynes. He's got about 7 seconds to catch up to Joey before he gets into 11th, and then another, about 3 seconds to get to Kenny Reedman, which that's going to be quite the feat. Let's see if Caden Goodridge can hold on to this. But hey, looking good and brilliant moves up to this point. Hey, I think I've got the driver of the day for us right there with that kind of movement.
Going to be hard to beat 23 positions gained out there. What a drive from Caden Goodridge. And the other thing that I'm starting to notice is that Zach Buchanan up there in the P4 position, the number 40 car. He's got Timothy Salvatore all over the back. Kevin Norris is right behind, as well as Diego Zuccarelli. He's a couple seconds back getting pressure from Stefan Jeffrey himself right now. So if Diego can kind of gather it back up, he's got 3 cars right here that are battling very, very closely. I'd expect these lap times to start to kind of fade just a little bit. It might bring in Diego into that battle, and these are actually 2 names that Mike Broomhead was mentioning. Timothy Salvatore as well as Diego. These are 2 of the AM drivers that are well inside the top 10 here, mixing it up.
Yeah, we're seeing some really good racing. Little peek there, trying to take a look to see if it's a good spot. That's kind of an indication we will see on the next lap. If he's able to get around sooner, great. But I think that's an indication we're going to see him try to make that pass on the next lap, or try to present a little bit going into Redmond Corner. Redmond is a good passing spot. If you get a good launch through that chicane, you can make that pass at Redmond, but it's tough. Now we head through Hollywood, heading on down through the corner, trying to come up into the old hairpin. It is so hard to call that corner a hairpin, but it's probably one of the tightest corners on the track other than the chicane. But here we go, putting the nose up in there. That is a pass. That would be Kevin Norris. I think Kevin Norris finally got his nose back up in there just enough to be able to make up that position. He is making a run on Buchanan right now. Kevin Norris trying to get back up into the position where he thinks he belongs.
And he's got a terrific run. He's going to pop out drivers right. How deep can he take it on the brakes into turn 9, side by side? It looks like Zach Buchanan finally gives way. Kevin Norris back up into the P4 position. So remember, Kevin started on pole here in the 30-minute, got shuffled back just a little. Now he finds himself in that 4th place position, although he's got 3.5 seconds up the road if he wants to go chase down Ozzie Milwayne, who is our final podium finisher. And we were talking about that battle between 1st and 2nd place. It was down to 1.5 seconds after that pit stop cycle, but Alex Ellis has put his foot down in this race. Fast lap after fast lap. He is the only car to be in the 1 minute second flat bracket for the lap times. He has stretched it back out. Michael, I'm checking 4.5 seconds is what he's got on Suelio now.
Yeah, Almeida had a little glimmer of hope there after the pit stop, thought he could close that up, and to be honest, I thought he could close it up, but no, I think Alex Ellis just said, yeah, you guys can talk about the story you want to. I'm making my own story here. You just watch how this happens. And Alex Ellis making a real show for us, opening up a huge gap up to about, like you were saying, about 4.5 seconds on Almeida. It might have been an issue. Maybe Almeida caught a little too much curb somewhere, got a little wiggly, known to happen. But Honestly, I don't see that happen too often from Suelio. Now that gives Ozzy Milwane a chance to try to close up, but he's still got another about 8 seconds to close up to get to Almeida. So I think Milwane's going to have kind of a quiet race from here to the end.
Now, I don't want to call myself psychic, but I'm sure you guys heard Miss Cleo texting me just a couple minutes ago about that Diego Zuccarelli and Timothy Salvatore battle. Well, it is officially on. These were the two drivers that Mike Broomhead was really mentioning, saying they're working their way up, really impressing with the driver's skill, putting in the practice time. And right now, Zach Buchanan has pressure from Timothy Salvatore. Diego Zuccarelli has caught him in the number 5. That's the all-red car. And then Stefan Jeffrey, remember, he was way back outside of the top 10. He did not benefit from that top 10 grid invert. He has fought his way all the way back up to that 8th place position, and he sees several more directly out of his visor.
Yeah, it's getting to be pretty tight here. If we look at that little grouping, we've got Zach Buchanan, Kevin Norris, Zach Buchanan, Timothy Salvatore, Diego Zuccarelli, and Stefan Jeffrey all having this nice little battle here as they go through that corner there. Just watch them just bink, 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 one right after the other. We're going to start seeing some moves because there's not a lot of time left in this race. We've probably got about 2 laps left, depending on where our leader Alex Ellis is. He is actually just going into Redmond Corner, so it's going to be pretty tight. We could get a 3rd lap here, but he's going to have to put down some laps that he doesn't really need to with that 4.5-second gap over Almeida.
I can say that we have not taken the white flag yet. I promise to everybody we will be on top of it to make sure we bring you every single closing moment of this race as things are getting extremely tight now for what is the 3rd place podium position. Ozzy Milwane had some problems somewhere. Kevin Norris has closed this in. Remember, it was 3.5 seconds, so huge problems on the racetrack. Something happened somewhere. Kevin Norris, 3rd, Ozzy Milwane, 4th, Zach Buchanan, 5th, Timothy Salvatore, 6th, Diego Zuccarelli, 7th, Stefan Jeffrey in 8th. This is a 6-car battle, all for what will be the final step on the podium.
Yeah, Ozzy Milwane had a little bit of difficulty there, but looks like he is coming back. He is not going to hold on to it. He wants to make sure he gets back up to where Kevin Norris is. Everybody in this chain, all the way back to Jeffrey, wants that P3. Every one of these guys has a chance.
It is the final lap. Alex Ellis is already through turn 4. We'll clip over to him soon as we're watching this battle for what is the final podium spot. Kevin Norris seems to be stretching his legs away from Ozzy Milwane. I think if anything, it'll be from Timothy Salvatore making a move. But let's draw our attention up to our race leader. Alex Ellis finds 2 more corners remaining right in front of him. All he's got to do is hit the brakes, down a couple gears, get it through the final chicane, and a picture-perfect day for the number 1 car. Pole position, 1st race win, 2nd race win. Alex Ellis dominating today.
Suelio Almeida closing up a little bit on that last one, but honestly, I think that was a little bit more of Alex going, I don't need to do much here to stay ahead, because he had such a big gap. Then Kevin Norris back there behind him on the 3rd step of the podium with that. Just good luck following his way. Kevin Norris started out P1, ended up in P3, holding onto a beautiful podium finish.
Look at the smoke show going on here in turn number 1. Always love to celebrate with some victory donuts, and the number 1 car of Alex Ellis certainly well deserving of this celebration. And what we are going to do is take a very, very quick break and be right back with your official results and any post-race interviews.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're going to give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much going to be a turnkey. So he's going to press start on his computer, and right after we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Why radical? We build race cars. We race iconic tracks. We set lap records. We build friendships.
3, 4.
We create champions. We make racers.
Welcome back to Podium Esports for the coverage of the BiS Radical Cup Canada Series. You just watched 2 races from Donington Park, and it was pure, complete domination from the #1 car of Alex Ellis. Pole position, 15-minute sprint race win, and then 30-minute feature race win as well. Just a great day for that #1 car. Suelio Almeida had a fantastic day as well, coming home in the 2nd place position. Kevin Norris in 3rd. Ozzie Milwayne is going to finish in 4th. Zach Buchanan in 5th. Timothy Salvatore in 6th. Diego Zuccarelli in 7th. Stefan Jeffrey in 8th. Andrew Hardman in 9th. And Joey Haynes will round out your top 10.
In P11, for me, the driver of the day, look at that, started in P36 up to 11th. Caden Goodridge. Next place would be Kenny Reedman, Dave Peterson, Rich Swindells bringing it into P14. Mark Boyd, Robert Covey, Kenny Brown, Asad Nikarambiev, and Stephen Chen, 19th, with James Carter in P20.
Then in 21st position, a couple of laps down, is Mike Dern. Phil Amaro here in 22nd. And then come some of the cars that actually didn't finish the race. Zippy Salmon as well as Matthew Mailman. But I do have to give credit to John Benwolid right here in the number 08. Albeit 10 laps down, did in fact see the checkered flag. The rest of the names that you see on the list here, unfortunately, did not finish today's race, and we'll have an uphill battle trying to collect that points championship. And it looks like we do have a couple post-race interviews. We're going to be starting with our race winner. Alex Ellis is going to be coming down in here. And remember, I was saying that Alex is going to be dominating today, and let's get him here into the booth. Alex, congratulations on just an awesome performance.
Thanks, guys. That one was really fun.
What was it today? Was it just the practice time? Do you click with Donington Park? What made you so dominant?
So the first time I actually drove the car and track combination was last night. But I spent about an hour practicing, and I usually never get any practice time in. So definitely that prep time made the difference, because basically every 15 minutes that I was practicing, I'd find like a little trick that would get me a tenth or two here and there. So then today felt super comfortable in the car, and it was just about executing.
So there's this awesome prize that's dangling out there for the championship win. How do you feel with the remaining rounds, considering after tonight a great performance, you're starting to claw it back?
Yeah, exactly. I had PC issues for the last round at Sebring, and I completely missed it. So I had 0 points there. So I'm in a big hole right now, doing my best to claw it back. And basically, at this point, all I can do is maximize my points each round. Luckily, did that today. I think I got fast lap 2, so it should be a maximum points haul today. So if I do that a few more times in the season, I'm liking my odds, and it's a pretty motivating prize too.
1 minute point 992, the only car that broke into the 1 minute flat second bracket. So yes, you did collect fast lap. And before I let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, absolutely. As always, Satellite Racing, Dr. Dabber, our great title sponsor, Ellis Engineering as well, and then Adam Crane as usual. He's my right hand man for all these races.
Well, Alex Ellis came in here and stunk up the show here today. Just complete domination from the number one car. And then it looks like we've got our second place finisher standing by with Michael Johnson.
And did we do Suelio? Wow, what a race. You seemed so calculated and measured with every move you made. Watching you, first race, second race, you put on kind of a masterclass of how to stay generally out of trouble.
Thank you so much. Well, yes. I just came back from a vacation trip, and I had like an hour and a half of practice, and I was struggling so much with consistency. Still in the race, I was actually I couldn't compete with Alex, because although I was catching up here and there, I was making some bad mistakes on the last corner and just hitting that second curb and like almost losing the car and standing into the wall. But apart from that, I was pretty calculated is the best way. Regarding traffic management, I think I was a lot more luckier than Alex, actually. He was having a much harder time with the traffic, and I was very lucky, actually. I was getting the traffic on the straight and like not losing too much time. I was able to save a lot of fuel on the second one and almost got there, went down to 1.7, and then I got too excited and ended up losing the rear, and that was my chance. But overall, very, very, very happy. This track is actually pretty fun, pretty intense for the Radical. I would say after Sebring, this one is really, really, really fun to do, and super happy with the double P2.
So talk us through that pit stop. You were able to get an extra lap. So I mentioned that you seem to have a magic right foot. You always seem to get that extra lap out of the car. And then you came out about a second and a half, under 2 seconds behind Alex. Was that kind of what you were hoping for, or did it surprise you when you came out that close?
It actually surprised me, because I thought I was doing an okay job. I thought okay, Alex is probably gonna even do better. Although like the braking zone into the actual pit was pretty risky, and it worked out. But honestly, I think I was just overdriving the car overall. And when I tried to lift and coast, I got faster. So I was like, okay, this is actually working. Let's continue lifting and coasting throughout the entire race. Ended up gaining a little bit of time, saving a little bit of tire and fuel, and I worked out to get, I think it was 1.3 faster in pit stop. So that was pretty good. And I'm definitely going to get this learning situation to the next rounds as well.
So just more of a personal question. Why can't you make those same kinds of mistakes when I race you out in the regular iRacing stuff? You always end up kicking my butt.
Well, this one actually, I was pretty frustrated, to be honest, because I was doing a whole reflection because I'm racing in real life this year, and I know how intense it's going to be. It's with the Radical SR3, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I need to focus. I'm making this mistakes and that mistake, and then I end up like, oh my god, like this entire race was a reflection, was a meditation on my own focus and how I can improve it. And we'll see. Maybe that will become a YouTube video about that. How to get more consistent. That's the next challenge on how to, just stay in the right mindset. Because if you think about the mistake, you end up making that mistake specifically. It's pretty tricky. So that's the next step for me.
Indeed, you do. I always talk to my racing clients about the 3 Ps. So the first one is being patient. You have to be patient to get that corner, and with that patience, you get the ability to hit that precision. And once you have the precision, everything falls together, and that brings in the 3rd P, which is just pestering either the guy in front of you or behind you, and that seems to work. Unfortunately, you I think you lost a little bit of that on that last corner, like you were saying. You just couldn't quite get that feel going through it. But hey, you still ended up P2, and I'm sure you've got people to thank for that 2nd position today.
Yeah, no, that was. I'm super happy to have come back from I think over a week without driving, and then just have a decent performance there. So yeah, no, amazing performance. I think is the next one in 1 week or 2 weeks?
So the next one will be at COTA, and I think it is 2 weeks if I remember correctly.
Exactly. No, yeah. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, thank you for everyone who's making this championship possible, because it's really lighting up the excitement to race and to practice for these events. And thank you for Tony Canan, my main mentor in sim racing and real life racing as well, and all the sponsors of this championship. And I'm really looking forward to racing again next week.
Well, thank you for being with us, Swaler. That was Swaler Almeida, our P2. Meanwhile, Joey has caught up with Zach Buchanan, who is our AM winner today.
Zach, congratulations on not only the AM win, but a P5 overall. That's got to feel pretty good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I copy you. You got us?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, it feels good. I finally had a good feature race tonight after the first 2 races of the season. Didn't go so great. So yeah, feeling great tonight.
It seemed to be a little bit of an up and down day. You had quite a battle on your hands, and you were just talking about that 30-minute feature. It seemed like you were within that huge, giant battle all race long. What was that like?
Yeah, I'd say the group from 3rd place to 8th or 10th back in both races tonight were super close. Yeah, lots of good racing, clean racing. It was definitely tough because it's such a hard track to pass at, and lap traffic really made things a lot more complicated. But yeah, it was good. We had lots of good racing tonight, and I feel like I got the best out of what I could do tonight, bar a couple of little mistakes.
Well, you came in here P3 in that AM championship, and you did claw some points back, although Timothy finished right behind you. Looking forward, what do you think you need to work on to maybe take that next step to get those finishes and get that championship lead?
I think it's just staying out of trouble. I think we've had 6 races total so far, and I think I've come first in class in 4 of them. Timothy's been right with me in the last couple of races, though, so he's definitely going to be a big challenge to surmount. But yeah, I think just keeping the car on track, staying out of trouble is going to be the ticket for me.
Well, picking up the AM win here today, Zach, anybody you want to thank?
I'd like to thank Timothy again for the great racing tonight. Ozzy as well. We were pretty much nose to tail all race tonight, and yeah, my teammates, you guys for the broadcast, Mike for hosting, and yeah, it was a good night. Thanks, guys.
Well, that was the driver of the number 40 car, Zach Buchanan, coming home with the AM win, and also on the AM podium, Timothy Salvatore standing by with Michael Johnson.
Thanks, Joey. So, Tim, end of the race there, looked like you had a really good chance. Thought you might be able to make that pass. Were you just sitting there going, no, the points are good enough here? Or was it that you just couldn't quite get around them?
I think it was a little bit of both. I definitely would have tried to make the move if I thought I had a little bit higher percentage chance of actually sticking it kind of halfway through the braking zone, which is probably never a good idea to be thinking halfway through a braking zone. I just really looked at that and said, I don't have enough here. I don't have the pace. I don't have the confidence on the brakes, and I hadn't really made any moves into that chicane all night, so I backed out of it and thought, the second place points, they're pretty good. I'll stick here, and nothing better than making a move into the final chicane there and coming out. I don't even know how far back if I couldn't make the move stick.
Well, good idea to not try to make those passes. If I've seen people try to make a pass from half a second back and just make that clear dive bomb, and you're going, why would you do that? So smart racing. Now all through that whole pack right there in the middle, it was essentially P3, and I think maybe back to P8, P10. It was just everybody was so tight, and everybody had a really good opportunity to make it for that third overall, and just everything through there. Did you see yourself finishing here today in P2, and I think it was P5 overall, or was it just kind of a surprise to end up where you were?
Uh, I think it was a kind of a roller coaster of emotions going through the night. At first, it was, oh no, I don't even know if I'll be in the top 20. And then qualifying rolled around, and I thought I was, on the top of the mountain. And then the heat and race kind of rolled around. I think honestly, a mix of probably 15 to 20 different guys could have been exactly where I was. The front two with Alex and Suelio, they're always gone. They've got so much talent and speed that they're kind of in a different league than us. But that third through 20th, I think there's it could change depending on who's lucky and who's not. And I'm thankfully I think I got pretty lucky.
So with eyes on the prize of being able to drive that radical in real life, what are you thinking your chances at Coda are?
Uh, if I'm honest, Dakota's not my favorite track. I don't really put many laps in there, but I'm sure I'm gonna do some practice and see if I can maybe get a little bit of rhythm there and figure it out. But definitely a lot of work to do before I even start thinking of anything like that.
Well, who do you have to thank for tonight's P2 in the AM class?
Uh, yeah, just like to thank everybody who puts the race on, from BIS to their sponsors, FEL, M Zone, Radical Canada, Advanced Sim Racing. I'd also really like to thank my team, Race Sim Canada, and everybody who kind of practices with me almost on a nightly basis. With Matt Howard, Curtis James, Mark Harris. If it wasn't for practicing with them all the time and racing with them all the time, I mean, sim racing would be a lot more boring, and I'd be a lot worse at driving. So they helped me quite a bit.
Well, beautiful result for you tonight. That was Tim Salvatore. Next, we have Joey talking to Diego Zuccarelli.
Diego,
everyone.
congratulations on the third place AM finish here tonight at Donington Park.
Thank you. That was a sweat and a half.
So you seem to really catch the field in the last couple laps of the race. What was your mindset there to reel them in?
I knew that we were probably try to fight a little bit with each other, and they were much closer to each other than I was. So I was hoping that their pace was going to slow down a bit. So I just tried to keep it clean and not to overdrive the car too much. Nonetheless, I made a couple of mistakes in both in both stints, but I was able to catch up close, and but the race at that point was over. So it was a fun race though.
Well, you got to be happy at least being able to spray some virtual champagne on the AM podium here. And I'm taking a look at the AM championship. Although you are a little bit far down, you came in P10 with these points that should vault you up quite a bit. Looking forward to the rest of the schedule, is there maybe a track that stands out to you that you're really looking forward to going to in racing?
I don't remember the calendar right
Here,
now.
I'll tell you.
Oh,
There's
perfect.
Coda, Laguna Seca, Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen, and Mosport.
Well, Mosport will be the easy choice. But everybody's familiar with Mosport because we're all gravitating around there, right? But yeah, I would say Mosport, maybe Road Atlanta. Laguna Seca might be a little different, but it was in the officials this week, and I've done quite good, I would say. I only ran one official, but I had a good feeling about it. We ran a slightly different setup though in the league, so that feeling might be a little different when we get there. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the next one, which is Skora. I believe I haven't lapped there in a while, especially in the Radical, but I'll be happy to put some practice down and see where I stand at the end of the race.
My last question here for you, since we're all racing these Radical SR10s, what really draws you to this series?
It all started with the SR8. I tried it in a couple like practice sessions a while back when it was official, and I just fell in love with it. Like it was like so well balanced that I had so much fun on it. And then we transitioned to the SR10. It wasn't easy at the beginning, as everybody in the racing community knows. It was a little tricky, but I think now, like even for the official, we stand at a point where it's fun and drivable. So I see like the community growing back again, which is definitely good for the series. And yeah, it seems like I'm stuck with it, but I'm loving it.
Well, you're stuck at doing something you quite honestly are good at from what we see. And before I let you go, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I don't know what next time I will be on the podium, so I better take the list out. Well, definitely Mike and all the guys that are helping with the series. Shout out to you guys as well for the great job you do in broadcasting. And shout out to my family, my wife and my two daughters. They are not watching, but they eventually will at some point.
That was Diego Zuccarelli coming home in the third place position on that AM podium and well inside the top 10, seventh overall here at Donington during round number 3. And that's going to do it for here. Thanks to Podium Esports as well as the Radical Cup Canada Series for all of their support and the entire team behind the scenes today, Christian, Michael, and Ryan Bauer. Follow along on the Podium Esports social channels to stay up to date with everything racing and all of the upcoming shows, including the Monday Night Racing Series and the Sunoco Winter Series. Catch us right here in the same spot just next week for more of the BiS Racing Series. Until next time, I'll see you at the checkered flag.